Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for our webinar on rice purchases in the USDA Foods Program. My name is Sarah Fong, and I am a nutritionist for the USDA Agricultural Marketing Service Commodity Procurement Program. I am joined today by Andrea Lang, the new vendor coordinator for the Commodity Procurement Program. I'd like to thank USA Rice for their collaboration in organizing this event and for helping to spread the word about the USDA Foods Program. We are excited to have this time to connect with everyone here today and show how USDA Foods can be an opportunity to expand your business. Before we begin, I have a few basic instructions to ensure a good webinar experience for all. To reduce background noise, your microphone has been muted. However, you will be able to ask questions. I encourage you to ask questions throughout the presentation. On the right side of your monitor is a screenshot showing what the webinar's question and answer area looks like. Please take a moment to locate it on your monitor. Below that is a blow-up window showing multiple choices you have for directing your questions. Please click on the option for all panelists. This will help ensure you get the quickest response possible. Enter your questions in the rectangular box in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen and hit send. We will answer as many of the questions we have time for following our formal presentation. To protect the privacy of all of our webinar participants, you will only be able to view your questions and not those that have been asked by others. I'd like to now hand it over to Cameron Jacobs at USA Rice, who has been working hard to bring this webinar to USA Rice members. Cameron will now say a few words before we begin.
Thanks, Sarah. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for making time today to participate on this rice purchases in the USDA Vendor Program webinar. On the phone with us, we have members representing USA Rice's Merchants Association, USA Rice Millers Association, and the USA Rice Millers Associate members. I would like to thank Sarah, Andrea, and the rest of the USDA AMS team for being so proactive in reaching out to USA Rice and getting this webinar scheduled for our members. At this time, I'll hand it back over to Sarah for the remainder of the webinar.
Thanks, Cameron. So this is our agenda for today. We'll first look at an overview of the USDA Foods Program and the rice products that we purchase on a regular basis. We'll then discuss the recently announced trade mitigation purchases and opportunities for rice suppliers to sell to USDA under that program. Andrea will then talk about the process for new vendors to become approved to sell to the USDA. I'd like to note that at the conclusion of this webinar, you will be emailed an electronic copy of this presentation and also a recording of the webinar. There are a few web links that have been embedded in these slides, and you'll be able to access those links once you receive the electronic copy. So let's get started with an overview of what we buy in the USDA Foods Program. The Agricultural Marketing Service, also known as AMS, purchases over 3 billion of American-grown food in various forms and pack sizes. From livestock, poultry, fruits, vegetables, dairy, grain, and oilseed, basically, you name it, we buy it. These purchases not only support American agriculture, but feed millions of school children, families, and other qualified individuals through USDA's nutrition assistance and international food aid programs. All the products we purchase must be 100% domestically produced and processed. Supporting American agriculture is central to our program mission, so AMS will only purchase products which can be sourced domestically. Rice products fall under the grain category, and we'll review the specific varieties that we purchased later in the presentation. This slide helps to illustrate the dual mission behind USDA commodity purchasing activities. The mission is twofold in that it combines the support for American agriculture through the purchase of domestic products with the supply of high-quality foods to federal food and nutrition assistance programs. The foods that USDA purchases from American farmers are collectively called USDA Foods. The purchasing and distribution of USDA foods encourages domestic agriculture and economic growth in rural America, and these products are an integral part of the nation's food security net. These are the federal nutrition programs that use USDA foods. You are probably familiar with the National School Lunch Program, and this program uses most of the USDA foods that are purchased. There are several additional programs that use USDA foods, which primarily include the Emergency Food Assistance Program, which serves food banks, the Food Distribution Program on Indian Reservations, which serves families living on Indian reservations, and the Commodity Supplemental Food Program, which serves older adults. AMS Commodity Procurement recently merged with the Commodity Office of the Farm Service Agency, and as a result, we now purchase grain products for international feeding programs as well. This chart shows you how much funding is available for purchasing USDA foods for federal nutrition programs. In fiscal year 18, there is about $2.5 billion available just for purchasing USDA foods. As you'll see, the School Lunch Program, which is abbreviated as NSLP, spends the most, followed by the three household programs: the Emergency Food Assistance Program, or TFAP, the Commodity Supplemental Food Program, or CSFP, and the Food Distribution Program on Indian Reservations, or FDPIR. In fiscal year 2017, USDA purchased about $14.7 million of rice and $135,000 of wild rice. The varieties we purchased include long and medium grain rice, brown, long, and medium grain rice, which includes both regular and parboiled, and wild rice. As I mentioned earlier, all products supplied to the USDA Foods Program must be 100% domestically produced and processed. We purchase in full truckload quantities, and vendors must bid on at least one truckload in order to supply to USDA. The vendor is responsible for transportation to the contracted destination. We do purchase commercial branded products, and we have a link on this slide to our rice and wild rice specifications that outline our requirements. We also purchase a variety of package sizes to serve both households and schools. Common configurations for our rice purchases include 24 2-pound packages per case and 30 2-pound packages per case of different varieties for households. For schools, we purchase 25-pound bags of brown rice. Our rice purchases occur on a quarterly basis. A link to our procurement schedule is on this slide, and we've also included a snapshot of the schedule here. Note that this schedule reflects our regular purchases for entitlement-based programs, such as the National School Lunch Program. However, additional purchases may be authorized to occur outside of these time periods, such as the purchases that have been planned for the upcoming Trade Mitigation Program. So we'll now talk about the recently announced Trade Mitigation Program and the rice purchases that have been planned under that program. On August 27, 2018, USDA announced details of 3 different programs aimed to mitigate the impacts of recent tariffs placed on U.S. agricultural goods. One of these programs is the Food Purchase and Distribution Program, which is being administered by AMS. In total, the Food Purchase and Distribution Program will include up to $1.2 billion in commodity purchases. For details on the other 2 programs that are part of this plan, please refer to the link in the first bullet. Up to $48.1 million have been targeted for rice purchases, which will be spread out over 4 different phases. We will be purchasing 2-pound packages of US number 2 long grain rice and US number 1 brown rice. We have included a link here to the pre-solicitation notice for rice, which includes additional details on case configurations and the anticipated timeline for each purchasing phase. As I mentioned in an earlier slide, this purchase schedule will occur in addition to our normal quarterly purchases for entitlement-based programs. Our goal is to not disrupt the fulfillment of those programs' needs, while also helping industry to mitigate the impacts of recent trade actions. This is why we are excited to be able to connect with you today, to encourage you to join our vendor pool and participate in the many opportunities for rice purchases that will be coming over the next year. So I will now hand it over to Andrea, who helps vendors go through the process of signing up as a USDA food supplier. She will review the key steps that you need to know for getting the process started.
Thank you, Sarah. The vendor process can be broken down into 6 steps. Today, we will focus on step 3 and what AMS requires of our new and potential vendors to get your vendor application approved. Your company must be registered in System for Award Management, or SAM. SAM is a federal government-owned and operated free website. Every vendor who wants to participate in a federal government procurement must be registered in SAM. This system is free. Please be aware of similar systems that will charge a hefty fee. There is no fee to register your company into SAM. If you run into some trouble registering in SAM, there is a Help tab on SAM's main page, which features FAQs, user guides, and helpful hints. You can also contact the SAM Help Desk, 1-866-606-8220. Next in your package is the Web-Based Supply Chain Management, or WebSCM, vendor registration form. You must also include a company letter certifying the company's performance. The letter should include a brief history of the company, mention of satisfactory record of integrity, and list what products you want to provide. The letter must be signed and on company letterhead. We will also need 3 letters of references from satisfied customers on letterhead, signed with the phone number and address for verification purposes. For assessing financial capabilities, we require the most current financials. The financials must be audited or reviewed by a CPA in accordance with the generally accepted accounting principles, and at a minimum have a balance sheet, profit and loss statement, statement of cash flows, statement of retained earnings, and any notes to the financial statement. If you have any questions with regards to our financial requirements, please contact the contracting officer. If you are a non-manufacturer, we will require some additional information from you. Non-manufacturers that use suppliers or manufacturers must submit a supplier letter. This is a letter from the manufacturer and supplier stating it is willing to provide product that meets the commodity specifications. The letter must be on your supplier's letterhead and include the material code and description of the product. The letter should be signed by both you, the non-manufacturer, and your supplier. Non-manufacturers will also need to submit a complaint and dispute resolution proposal agreement. This is an agreement between yourself and your supplier that should something happen to the product, for example, we need replacement or reimbursement, then the proposal will list out what both parties have agreed to do in order to resolve the issue. Once you've gone down the list and checked each item off, please send in the complete package via email at newvendor@ams.usda.gov. Your financials will be sent to our financial officer for review. We consider your financials to be proprietary information. They are encrypted and password protected and only seen by the person handling your vendor application, the financial officer, and the approving contracting officer. If any documents are missing or incomplete, we will inform you via email or phone. So please make sure your contact information is current and correct. Once approved, the vendor is notified via email. Approval may take 5 business days. If you visit our new vendor website, you will find a 20-minute recorded webinar that walks you through how to become an approved vendor in more detail. We also have a new vendor checklist that lays out all of the steps I mentioned previously. I highly recommend you visit the website and listen to our webinar. If you have any questions or concerns regarding how to become a new vendor only, please contact the new vendor email. Once again, that's newvendor@ams.usda.gov. Please feel free to contact me or the new vendor email that is listed should you have any questions. If I am not available, Dean Danicus and Linda Steigerwald, members of our Operations Support Division, would be happy to assist. Thank you. And thank you everyone for participating in our webinar today. So we will now go over questions that we received from USDA Rice members in advance, and we'll also go over any additional questions that have been submitted during the webinar.
Thanks, Andrea. So question number 1, many of you have asked if this webinar is, many of you have asked if this webinar is recorded and if slides of the presentation will be distributed. Yes, we will release this webinar recording and a PDF copy of the PowerPoint slides within 24 to 48 hours to everyone who has registered. Question number 2, how long would it take to become an approved vendor? If you have all of the necessary documents in the correct format and are registered in SAM, it should take up to 5 business days for you to become approved. Please keep in mind that the timeline for SAM registration may vary. My SAM registration status says pending. This is question number 3. Can I still become approved even if my registration is not active? No, your SAM registration must be in active status. You should receive an email from SAM stating that your company has been approved and considered active in SAM. If your SAM profile is not active, then we cannot link you up to our web SCM system. Please note that since SAM is not run by USDA, we have no control over how long it takes to become registered, so please complete this step as early as possible. Question number 4. When I go to fill out the vendor registration form, there is a spot asking for a DUNS number. What is a DUNS number and where can I get one? A Data Universal Numbering System, or DUNS number, is a number unique to your business. Before you can bid on government contracts or even register in SAM, you need to get a DUNS number. To do so, please visit the Dun & Bradstreet website at www.dnb.com. Question number 5. How can I receive information on bids? What is GovDelivery? Vendors receive information on purchase announcements and any specification changes we've made through GovDelivery. GovDelivery is our emailing system. If you visit the USDA AMS homepage at www.ams.usda.gov, you'll see a box in the middle of the homepage that says Get Email Updates, with a field to type in your email address. Please type in your email address and hit Submit to sign up for GovDelivery. Information on how to sign up for GovDelivery is also in the email sent to you after you become approved. Question number 6. Do I need to have my finances audited or reviewed? Yes, in order to be approved, you must provide USDA with financial statements. We request these in accordance with the Federal Acquisition Regulations, more commonly known as the FAR. These are requested in order to ensure your company is financially stable enough to handle USDA contracts. If, for example, something were to happen to the product and we need replacements or reimbursements from your company, but you do not have the financial support to provide this, it could be problematic not only for us, but for your company. Question number 7. What are some examples of customer references? These are letters from the companies that you have been supplying your products to. It could be from grocery stores, restaurants, a school or food bank, which are using your products. The letters must describe your customer's experience with the products and their satisfaction with your performance as to delivery. Question number 8. How will I know if my application is not approved or if I need to make changes to my paperwork? If any changes need to be made to your application, the new vendor team will communicate with you via phone or email. Once your application is submitted, you will be notified via email. If our approving contracting officer needs more adjustments made to your application after it has been submitted, then we will notify you via phone or email. Question number 9. I was an approved vendor several years ago. Do I need to reapply to become an approved vendor? If you were an approved vendor with commodity procurement, but it has been 3 years or more since you have submitted a bid, then you would need to be active in SAM and submit your most current audited or reviewed financial statements. If it's been less than 3 years, then you should be good to go. Question number 10. Is there a deadline for signing up as an approved vendor in order to submit a bid for any of the upcoming purchases? There is no deadline, but you must complete all steps on the new vendor checklist prior to submitting a bid. Please note that it is important to complete your SAM registration as early as possible to avoid any delays in becoming approved. Question number 11. When would be the next opportunity for selling rice to USDA? The next 2 solicitations for rice will be in October. The solicitation for our regular quarterly rice purchase will be in the beginning of October, and the solicitation for the first phase of trade mitigation purchases will be in late October. The presentation has links to the procurement schedule that outline the delivery dates for these purchases. Please refer to those links once you receive a copy of the presentation. Question number 12. If I am not approved before the solicitations in October, when would be the next time that I can participate? After the upcoming October solicitations, the next opportunity you would have to participate would be in January. Both our regular quarterly purchase and the second phase of trade mitigation purchases will occur in January. Question number 13. How are orders for trade mitigation purchases determined? Our partner agency, the Food and Nutrition Service, is gathering orders from food banks, which are the recipients of these purchases, to determine order quantities and destinations for delivery. Question number 14. Where are the specifications outlined for rice? The specification is on the USDA AMS website under the tab for selling food to the USDA and the section for product specifications and requirements. A link has been provided in the slides, but please reach out to us if you have any difficulty locating the spec. The pre-solicitation notice for trade mitigation purchases called for U.S. number 2 long grain rice. Would U.S. number 1 long grain rice be accepted? Yes, long grain rice must be U.S. number 2 or better. And our last question is question number 16. Do we need to bid on every line item listed in the solicitation? No, you are not required to bid on every line item in the solicitation. You can bid on as few destinations as you wish.
Okay, well, that answers all of our questions. I don't see any more in the box, so Cameron, would you like to say a few words? Close us out?
Sure thing. I just want to express our gratitude. Thank you again for helping us set up this. I'm sure it has been good information for everyone to hear, and we certainly will follow up if we have any other questions.
Great, thank you so much, everyone. We will be sending out a recording of this presentation and a copy of the slides to everyone that has registered. Thank you.